of the Home Safe Coalition this evening to talk about mortgage forbearance and foreclosure and what are the next steps and options that might be out there. Our members of the Home Safe Coalition are funded, or the services that we're going to talk about tonight are funded through the New York State Attorney General Homeowner Protection Program. And the homeownership counseling services that you're going to be we're going to be mentioning are funded, HUD, I'm sorry, my mouth doesn't want to keep up with me tonight. The homeownership counseling agencies are all HUD approved housing counseling agencies and are funded directly through this service. So that way you don't have to charge, or we aren't charging fees to you. So the counseling services that you receive from these HUD approved counseling agencies are free of charge. Sorry about that. We're going to keep moving forward. So tonight I am Caitlin Burns. I am the Director of Wealth Building Strategies and Advocacy at the TRIP and RCHR NeighborWorks Homeownership Center. I'm just one of the very many awesome organizations right here in the Capital Region that are here to help you all navigate through the next steps of where we are today. We are going to be doing a Q&A, or a question and answer session at the end of tonight's material. So feel free to put your questions right into the chat. If you're not familiar with how to use the chat function, right at the bottom of the screen, there should be a black bar. And there should be a bubble to mute or unmute yourself, which you're going to be staying muted tonight. You can share your video or unshare, but if you move over, there should be a Q&A, look like chat bubbles, and a chat option. Please feel free to put your questions right there in the chat. If you are on your phone, you should see 3 ellipses or 3 dots, and that should give you an option to select more options where you can also enter your questions right into the Q&A or the chat. So again, I mentioned that we are representatives from our Home Safe Coalition, which the Home Safe Coalition is a network of agencies right here in the Capital Region that have been working for the past over 15 years to really help our community members who are falling behind in foreclosure on their mortgages navigate through those next steps. So tonight we have 2 really brilliant brains with us tonight. We have Shruti Joshi from the Legal Aid of Northeastern New York, and we have Tracy Peterson from Affordable Housing Partnership to talk about the legal process and some homeownership counseling information on how we are here, how we can help you guys navigate through the next steps. And if you ever have any more questions, please make sure you go back to the website where you enrolled, the homesafe.info website, where you'll have more information on all of our agencies, all the agencies that are listed here, and how to contact us, and some information about some key terminologies and aspects you might be going through. So again, we're here tonight to talk to you about the mortgage forbearance process and the options that might be out there. As a reminder, the forbearance is just really a pause on making payments. It doesn't mean that those payments go away. It means that we're making a pause on those payments for a period of time. So we want to talk tonight about just a little bit about what does that mean, what happens after a forbearance, and just as a reminder, the nonprofit housing counseling agencies and legal service members that we have here tonight they're members of our Home Safe Coalition. So all of us at the Home Safe Coalition, we're here to help you navigate through these next steps. So go back to homesafe.info to make sure you get connected with the counseling agencies and the legal representatives to help you through the next step. Another thing we want to keep in mind is that no 2 outcomes or no 2 situations are really alike. So depending on what programs are out there, but depending more on what loan you have, how your current circumstance, what might have caused the falling behind in your mortgage, and all these little nuances are really going to determine what your next steps are. And what you really want to do is going to help navigate what your next steps are. So you want to go and talk to those housing counseling professionals, those legal professionals, and find out what are your next options, what's available, what can be done, and how really to make or work through those next steps. So again, we're just going to be talking about the intros of this process, what you can expect to run into. And then really, I want to just keep always pushing you. Go to homesafe.info, connect with these fantastic, brilliant professionals who do this every single day, who work in this profession to help make sure we can get the services and the information in your hands to help you navigate through your next steps. So with that being said, I believe this is a part where Shruti, I'm going to pass this on over to you. Please enlighten us with all this awesome information, because I know you are professional. So thank you so much, and go ahead.
Thank you, Caitlin. Hi, everyone. My name is Shruti Joshi. I'm a senior attorney at Legal Aid Society of Northeastern New York. And briefly, I'm going to talk about legal services and how we can help you. Caitlin gave you some brief introduction of what we're going to talk about. So my portion is, the first thing I talk about is what do you do if you have fallen behind on your mortgage? And one of the first things that we tell our clients to do is contact the servicer. Tonight, we're going to talk about some some forbearance options, some post-forbearance options for you. For any of the options that may apply to you, what you need to do first is find out, contact your servicer, find out if you're qualified for a forbearance. If depending on what kind of loan you have, what options might be available for you may be different. So the first thing we tell homeowners and mortgagors is they should contact their servicer and find out whether there's a forbearance available and what options are available for them. You also need to explore, your potential solutions in order to protect yourself from foreclosure. Anything from a forbearance, a repayment plan, a modification, or even an option to not keep your house if you're not looking to retain the property. There are non-retention options. In order to explore any of those options, you would need to ask your servicer and find out what options are available. We have, as Caitlin said, free HUD certified housing counseling agencies that are part of this Home Safe Coalition. We ask that you contact one of the organizations that's in your service area and get assistance that they can help you apply for modification, or even just to find out what option might be best suited in your situation. And then, of course, we ask you that you seek legal assistance if you're at the point where you have a pending foreclosure against you and you're basically defending yourself in court. And that's where legal services would be able to get involved and help you. The last thing, but something that's kind of the most important thing that we talk about, is please protect yourself from scams. There are a number of agencies out there that are looking for people that are in vulnerable situations, like a homeowner facing a foreclosure. And it's an easy target. They ask for a lot of money. They're sometimes not attorneys or not even based in New York. And they will make promises to you that they will help you keep your home. They will get you a loan modification. They will even tell you not to make your mortgage payment and instead pay them so that they can assist you with this process. Please do not fall prey to scams like those. Please know that there is free legal service and housing counseling service available in New York, in your area. And reach out. Home Safe Coalition, even if you reached out to one of the agency, you would be referred to whoever is able to help you. If you reach out to a housing counseling agency and they figured out that you have a pending foreclosure or you're in danger of getting foreclosed upon, they would make the right referral and get you in contact with the legal service agency. And we can go on to the next slide. So there is right now a foreclosure moratorium. A moratorium, by definition, is a stay. So any pending foreclosure case, or even if you're not in foreclosure, but you're in danger of a foreclosure being commenced against you, all of that is stayed. The duration of how long this moratorium or stay is depends on the kind of loan you have. So for example, if you have a loan that is federally backed, which means it's any of the ones that are listed on here. It's a federal, if it's an FHA, a Federal Housing Administration loan, or a VA loan, which is for Veteran Affairs, or a USDA loan, which is for rural properties, or any loans that are secured or guaranteed by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. Those have a moratorium until July 31st, 2021, which means no new foreclosures for those mortgages will be started before July 31st, and any pending foreclosure cases are also stayed until that time. There are ways of finding out what kind of loan you have. You may be able to find out from your loan documents if you happen to have the original. You may be able to look them up. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have online lookup tools that you could use to find out if your loans are guaranteed by either of those agencies, or just reaching out, like I said, to your servicer and asking them if, what your loans, who owns the loan, who owns the mortgage, and getting that information. For any non-federally backed mortgage, so anything outside of the ones that are listed on here would basically be a non-federally backed mortgage. So a private loan, a conventional mortgage, those are governed by the state law. And under New York, right now we have a moratorium until the end of August. We can go on to the next slide. Thank you. there is a COVID-19 Emergency Eviction and Foreclosure Prevention Act that is effective right now. It came last year, so it became effective on December 28th, 2020. And basically what it did was it offered some of the similar protections. It's giving homeowners and mortgagors some time to, if they have a financial hardship, to basically assist them in this process and give them some time to figure out the issues that they're going through and give them that breathing room that they need. So there's a stay. If you submit a hardship declaration form, and that form, we have that form in the next slide, so we'll show that to you. But if the form is basically attesting that you have a financial hardship, and a financial hardship is defined by an increase in your expenses or a loss of income. So if you have lost income or had an increase in your household expenses during COVID-19, and you sign and deliver this hardship declaration form to your bank, to your mortgage company, you should be eligible for a stay until the end of August. So August 31st, 2021, that stay should apply. Similar to what I was saying before, the stay would mean no new foreclosures against you or no movement on a pending foreclosure case. The way you would submit this form depends on the status of your case. So if you already have a pending foreclosure case against you, you should have received this form with the court papers that you were served with. You can access the form from the court's website if you don't already have a copy of the form. If you reached out to one of the agencies here, we would also supply this form to you. What you need to do is fill out the form if it applies to you and submit it to your bank, to your mortgage company, or send it to the court if you have a pending eviction, pending foreclosure. And your case would automatically be stayed until the end of August. One thing to keep in mind is, I think Caitlin mentioned that, it's a forbearance. It's not, none of this is forgiving the amount that you owe. So even if there is a stay and no movement happens or no foreclosure doesn't proceed or doesn't get filed, that does not mean that you don't owe those unpaid mortgage payments. They will still be owed to the lender. You're just getting some additional time to find a way to make those payments, because right now you're in a financial hardship and not able to make that payment. We always suggest to clients that keep track of payments that you are making. That would be helpful for you to figure out your post pandemic or post forbearance options. The next slide. This is the declaration form. This is what it looks like. It's a declaration, which means it's a statement that you're making under a penalty of law, which means you're only stating the truth on the form. So we ask that, if you're filling out the form, review it carefully, make sure you understand what's on the form, that you're signing it only because you believe that it applies to you. There are 6 categories that are covered under here, and they are pretty broad. So it's likely that it would apply to you. A lot of circumstances are covered on here. I'll go through them briefly. So if you've had a significant loss of income or increased expenses, could be any out-of-pocket expenses that you've had, whether health related or, an example would be if you had your kids at home and you had more expenses on them during COVID-19, that would make you qualify under this hardship. Any increased childcare responsibility, or just being responsible for an elderly because they were sick and they were living with you, any moving expenses, or even just difficulty of moving out in this time. So say if you were in a pending foreclosure and if you were to be foreclosed upon, you would have to move out, and that would be a risk, a hardship during the COVID-19 pandemic. That would make you qualify. And then if you have any medical issues, you could fill out the form. One of the last things it says is also if you have a tenant in the property and you were not getting rent from them because they were going through a hardship, that would also make you qualify. So we say that, you make sure you read the form, you understand it. You'll see on the end of the form, it says you're signing and submitting this under a penalty of law. So obviously you could be fined or penalized for making a false statement. So be careful about that. We can go to the next slide. So the next portion that I will briefly touch upon is the foreclosure process in New York. So what happens if you have, either you don't qualify for the financial hardship because you have fixed income, wasn't impacted by COVID-19. There's no other reason for you to be able to submit the hardship declaration form, so you don't qualify for the stay or the moratorium, and the foreclosure does proceed in your case, or the moratorium is over and we're now past August. Then what does that foreclosure look like, and what is the process? This is a chart that basically on one page goes over the entire process of foreclosure in New York State. It is a judicial foreclosure state, which means it has to go through a court process, and it takes a while to complete. It starts off by obviously missing mortgage payments. So once you start to fall behind on your payments and you're not able to catch up, that gives the bank a reason to start sending you notices. The first notice that you are likely going to get once you're more than 120 days behind on your loan is what's called a 90-day pre-foreclosure notice. It's mandatory that they have to send this notice before they start a foreclosure case against you. So you're likely going to get this notice. If you didn't, that would be a problem. But this notice would tell you that you are X number of days behind on your loan, that you are given 90 days to catch up. And if you don't catch up during those 90 days, that they could start a foreclosure action against you. Once the 90 days are over and you have not cured the default that the bank was asking you to, that's the time that the bank can commence the foreclosure case against you. It started with a summons and complaint that is filed in the Supreme Court in the county where your property is. And once you get served, you have to be served with that summons and complaint. It's a set of court documents, so it's a pretty thick packet of document that you will be served with. Could be someone coming to the property to serve you by hand, giving it to you in person, or if you're not at home, they will make a few attempts to serve you and then leave it at the door and mail a copy to you, and try to serve you by substituted service. This is a legal document. That's where we ask that you reach out to legal aid or legal project and get that assistance you need in order to respond to this complaint. When I say it's a legal document, you're a defendant in this foreclosure, so you have rights. You have an answer document that you can file in response to the summons and complaint. The answer document is basically, it's a form answer that we assist clients submit, and you raise defenses against foreclosure. So you need an attorney to review the summons and complaint with you and go over the answer defenses with you to tell you which defenses apply, which ones you should raise, the reasons why, and explain the process to you. I say that specifically because we have some notary public, some non-attorneys that are taking money from homeowners and promising help with answers, and then doing sort of this boilerplate check all box answer for homeowners and taking a couple $100s from you. So we ask that you reach out for assistance. Again, there's free legal services available to help you with the answer, which again is an important document because it's helping you preserve your rights in the foreclosure case. We can go on to the next slide. Thank you. So as I said, answering the complaint, it's a legal document, so you definitely need to reach out to an attorney for assistance. You have a limited amount of time to respond to the summons and complaint. So you have 20 or 30 days to answer, depending on how you were served. So for example, if you were served in person, someone shows up to your property and hands the summons and complaints to you or someone else who lives with you, who's over 18, then you have 20 days to respond to the summons and complaint. You'll have 30 days depending on, if you were served any other way. If they left a copy at the door and then served you another copy by mail, then you would have 30 days to respond. There is additional time. In New York, there is a mandatory settlement conference part that every foreclosure case, residential foreclosure case, goes through. So if you're in a residential foreclosure proceeding, then you are entitled to mandatory settlement conference, which is basically a mediation part where you and the bank's attorney will be in front of a referee or a judge negotiating on some kind of settlement to work something out. That's a good place to be in. There's additional time from that first conference as well for you to answer. So if you had not answered at the time you were served, you would be entitled to additional time later when you get served with the foreclosure settlement conference notice. Again, as I said, the answer allows you to raise defenses, and that's why we ask that you reach out for assistance, because any defenses that you don't raise timely may be waived. And I'm not going to go into detail of what the defenses are, because again, every case could be different. Every situation is unique, but definitely it's an important document that you need assistance, you need legal assistance from. So free legal services are available. We ask that you reach out for assistance. That's my part. I'm going to hand it over to Tracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Shruti. My name is Tracy Peterson, and I am the Housing Counseling Coordinator with Affordable Housing Partnership, a member of the Home Safe Coalition. Next slide, please. What housing counselors do for you is, first of all, we work for a HUD approved housing counseling agency. That means we have to adhere to the guidelines for HUD to provide services for people who are in danger of losing their home to foreclosure. We also offer pre-purchase counseling for people who want to buy a home buyer education. Many housing counseling agencies offer rental counseling. It just depends on the agency. There's a list of all of the HUD approved housing counseling agencies on HUD's website. Really easy to remember. It's just www.hud.gov. We are considered a neutral third party and a trusted advisor, and we focus on the client and what it is that they would like to do with regard to keeping their house, we call that retention, or getting rid of the house. And we work closely with the homeowner and the lender to try and find the best solution for each party. We are highly trained. All housing counselors within a year of being hired have to pass a certification test. It is a national test that every housing counselor has to pass in order to become certified. I am a certified housing counselor, and I'm very proud to say that all of my colleagues who provide foreclosure prevention services in the Capital Region are also HUD certified counselors. Sometimes lenders are willing to work a little bit better with housing counselors because they know that we've done an assessment of where the client is or where the homeowner is financially. We've gone over their budget. We've gone over what their goal is with regard to the house. We can help you complete a hardship application, submit it on your behalf, and make sure the paperwork is right. So all the lender has to do is make a decision. We're also going over all of the options available to you based on your particular situation, and no two clients are ever the same. We also can give you access to mortgage assistance programs. For instance, the city of Albany, New York, and the town of Colony both have homeowner assistance programs that will help you with back mortgage payments or back tax payments. However, we do have to work closely with your mortgage lender first to determine if that is an option for you. There are other programs coming down the pipe from the federal government. They're not open yet. If you are a renter or know someone who is a renter, there is an emergency rental assistance program that is taking applications now. We hope to be able to help people with the federal program as soon as it becomes online. And the best part is our services are free. So if you're contemplating going to a for-profit company that does similar to work that we do, it is your choice. However, if you're, let's say, stretched for money, you might want to utilize the services of someone who has a lot of experience working with lenders, working with people who are in foreclosure, and their sole purpose is to give you information so that you can make the best decision, and then give you help so that you can make those decisions come to fruition. Next slide, please. I want to talk a little bit about HUD loans. Those are the FHA loans, because there are some extensions that we didn't mention earlier. If you have not yet applied for a COVID-19 forbearance, that is the pause on your mortgage payments because you've been impacted negatively by COVID-19. The deadline to apply for an initial forbearance has been extended until September 30th of this year. And you may be allowed to get an additional 3 months of forbearance if you're already in a COVID-19 forbearance. If you are a HECM borrower, HECM is a home equity conversion mortgage. Those mortgages, you may be able to get an extension for relief for at least 6 months if needed. And if you're a person who is in a house secured by an FHA loan, there is a mortgage suspension, as Shruti mentioned, up until July 31st. For more information on this, you can go to www.homesave.info. Next slide, please. Now let's talk about retention options. For those of you who want to keep your homes, we've been throwing around a lot of names. Let's talk about what those things are, the options. Forbearance is an agreement where the lender allows you to skip payments or reduces your payment for a particular period of time. As Caitlin said, it doesn't mean you don't have to make those payments up. It just means for a specific period of time, you are not required to make payments, or the payments you make have been reduced from whatever your contractual payment is. At some point, the lender will call all of those reduced payments or the balance of the reduced payments or your normal payments due. At that point, you've got a decision to make. If you're able to reinstate your loan, great for you. You reinstate, pay all of the arrears, and you go back to whatever your contractual payment is. If you're not able to make a reinstatement once your forbearance is over, there are options that may be available to you. They include a repayment plan. Some lenders may offer a regular payment plus a little extra to bring your arrears current over a period of time. It does need to be affordable for you, because the lender doesn't want to put you in a position where they give you a repayment plan that is not feasible. Reinstatement is where you have a lump sum that you're able to pay all of your arrears at one point, and then your loan is reinstated and you go back to whatever your contractual payment is. A loan modification is an agreement between you and your lender, whereby the lender will take your arrears and do a number of things with them. They may capitalize it into your principal balance, tweak your terms. For instance, they could reduce your rate or keep your rate the same. They may extend the term of your loan. They may defer a portion of your arrears or reduce a portion of your arrears to try and bring the balance of what you owe into a new payment that's now affordable for you. The loan type you have and your income and your budget is going to determine whether or not the lender is able to offer you a loan modification, a repayment plan, or continuation with a forbearance or a deferral, which is the next option. A deferral is where the lender defers all of your arrears or a portion of your arrears to the back end of the loan. Generally, when they're deferred, these arrears are deferred, there is no interest that you pay on the deferred amount. Generally, the deferred amount will come due at the point where you reach the maturity date of your loan. So you get to the end of the loan, and then there's a lump sum of the deferred amount that you have to pay. They will call it in when you refinance your loan or if you sell your house. Up until then, it's up to you if you want to make early payments on a deferred amount. And your lender will direct, if they give you a deferral, how that payment is to be made if you want to pay it before you get to the maturity date of your loan or you sold your house. Sorry about the car. Okay, next slide, please. Then there are non-retention options. These are options for homeowners who don't want to keep their home or can't keep their home. If your home is no longer worth as much as you owe the lender and you want to sell it, that sale is called a short sale. It means that you find a buyer ready, willing, and able to purchase your home at its market value. The lender, in some cases, will agree to take that amount and write off the difference. A deed in lieu of foreclosure is where you, the homeowner, voluntarily give your house back by changing title back to the lender in exchange for the lender not chasing after you for the difference between the value of your home and what you owe them. If the value of your home is worth more than what you owe, it is recommended you consider selling the home outright so you can pay off the loan and maybe walk away with a little extra. But if the value is below and you've tried to sell your home and you couldn't, you might want to look to the lender for something called cash for keys, which is where the lender agrees to give you money to exit out of the house without doing any damage to the house. All of these options have potential tax consequences. So it is in your best interest to talk to your accountant or your tax preparer about how these options may affect you. Next slide, please. Okay, so questions are more than welcome, but if I don't leave you with anything, I want you to leave you with, there is help available. That help is free from highly trained, very skilled counselors. The agencies in this region cover all of the counties in the capital region, all 11 counties. And because most of us are working remotely, we may be even able to handle clients who want to come from outside of the capital region. Our program does not turn anyone away. So if you need help, if you have further questions, please give us a call. You can find our numbers at www.homesave.info.
All right, Tracy, thank you so much for that. Thank you, Shruti, you two brilliant experts. We're so lucky and fortunate to have you, sharing that very crucial information today. I know us through the Home Safe Coalition, we work so hard to make sure we can get this very valuable, important information into the hands of our neighbors and those who need it most. So thank you both for joining us and for sharing that. Do we have any questions from anybody? I don't see any in the chat or in the Q&A, but I will elongate what I'm about to say next, just to give you some time to type in some questions if you do have it. But we do also understand that a lot of the information, it was very robust and it was important, but it can be overwhelming. And in general, this process can feel like it's very overwhelming. So please contact one of these agencies here listed. We have Affordable Housing Partnership, Albany County Rural Housing Alliance, Better Community Neighborhoods, Trip Homeownership Center, Legal Aid Society, and Legal Project. All of us are here to help get the information to you and help you figure out what the best next step is going to be. So make sure you reach out to us. If you have more questions, if you need more information, go to homesave.info. And again, we are all here to help you get the information and guidance that you need. If you know somebody, spread the word, please. Remember, there's free help out there. And it sounds a little too good to be true. It's not. We are really here, committed professionals that have been doing this for over 15 years. And we want to make sure that we can help you start working with us sooner than later. So as with that, I don't see any questions in the chat. I do see some thank yous, but thank you more for joining us, because we know that the first step is always the hardest step. So make sure you have some friends and some guidance with us, walking with you through those next steps. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you again for Shruti. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Reach out to homesave.info, spread the word. There's free services out there to help get guidance and information, and some really awesome programs coming. Well, we hope they're coming soon. We'll have more information on the programs coming out for services that might be able to help us. Thank you all. Have a really good night. Stay cool, and reach out to us soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.